Hello and welcome to the channel. Tonight I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what's going on in American politics with this crazy election that we're going through. It's election week. No longer is it election day, which is no big deal. In the U.S. Constitution, it puts basically a deadline, a date in which ballots and voting has to stop so everything can be counted. Of course, the Republican Party under Trump doesn't believe in the Constitution, so they've created and rewritten history to create their own rule that election day is one day, and if your vote isn't counted then, if you're in a state that Trump is doing well, they can keep him going. Or actually, it's the reverse of that. If you're in a state where Trump is doing poorly, they're going to keep counting to make sure they can get enough opportunity to try to win that. But if it's in a state that Trump's already ahead in, they want to stop counting and make sure no other votes and voices are counted. So it's just nuts. And Donald Trump has taken it upon himself to declare himself the winner of Pennsylvania. It's insane that he's done this. His cult group that disobeys or doesn't believe science, medicine, reality, facts, these Fox News people they're not allowed to watch anything else or get their data anywhere else. These are the anti-vax, well, some of them are anti-vax, but a lot of them are anti-climate change. They're not allowed to really look at the data because if it overthrows them, then they don't believe it. It's fake. So this from the group that invented fake news. Watch how they've handled the Pennsylvania electoral process of getting all of the votes counted. Here we go.
Declare the states you want to win and claim victory without evidence.
He said, quote, "We have claimed for electoral vote purposes the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, which won't allow legal observers, the state of Georgia and the state of North Carolina, each one of which has a big Trump lead. Additionally, we hereby claim the state of Michigan if, in fact, there was a large number of secretly dumped ballots, as has been widely reported."
I love when Trump tries to write something in legalese and ends up sounding like Bill and Ted arguing over who gets shotgun in a car. "I hereby claim the front seat for the ride to White Castle. But as you can see, my hand has heretofore been placed upon the exterior of the vehicle, therefore negating your verbal declaration of shotgun, and thus your claim must be withdrawn forthwith." Also, I love that Trump thinks using the word hereby makes his tweet
that is pretty good.
Document.
That's pretty good.
The guy spent most of his life in court, and that's the only thing he learned. If anyone's giving you trouble, just throw in a hereby. Nobody comes back from that. And it wasn't just Trump. Everyone in and around his campaign, from his weird adult sons to his campaign manager, tried to just claim victory in Pennsylvania without any evidence before the votes had been counted.
White House spokesperson Kayleigh McEnany tweeted, "Victory for president in Pennsylvania."
This part's nuts. Kayleigh McEnany, she's the spokesperson for Donald Trump and speaks on behalf of the White House, is now working for the Ministry of Misinformation. This propaganda and this type of thing may sound like it's not that big of a deal because Trump lies every day about everything all the time. We've kind of become a little desensitized to that. However, there is some danger to it because the folks that do listen to Donald Trump and think that he is the second coming of Jesus, those folks really do think that there's a coup coming. Those folks believe that just following the letter of the law and making sure everyone's voice is being heard is going to be a fraudulent coup. If you're voting for Joe Biden, then your vote's automatically suspect. Only true votes for these folks are for Donald Trump. These folks are dangerous. They're nutty. It's a shame that they have a cult leader like Donald Trump because he's going to get some Americans killed with his crazy actions and distractions and the way that he pushes this BS out there to get folks agitated and motivated for him. This is a minority of Americans. They are not over 50%. As you know, the president has not had an approval rating ever over 50% while he's been in office. In fact, everyone talks about how the polls were wrong of saying that Hillary Clinton was going to win. She won the popular vote. The polls were right. More people voted for her. It's just with the Electoral College being in place, that's the only way Republicans can win now, because they've got states that are having education problems, to put it nicely, and those folks are not making their votes based on reality. Their whole drive now is not trying to make America better. They'll burn this country down just to own the libs. So they are dangerous people. And let's see what Kelly McEnany has thrown out there. Let's catch up with that real quick.
We've declared victory in Pennsylvania.
We are declaring a victory in Pennsylvania.
Oh, you're declaring victory in Pennsylvania. Okay, well, I'm declaring myself King of the Andals and the First Men, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms and Protector of the Realm, and my first official act is...
Okay, so Kelly McEnany had already tweeted before that, but as you can see, he's got his own propaganda team working diligently and very hard to throw out there that this is going to be a fraudulent election. And we're seeing now, the step one to that is declare yourself winner. Declare yourself winner first, and then everything else that happens after that, the nature of the mail-in and absentee ballots, because a lot of the folks that actually see the science and respect the experts took seriously that they maybe won't want to stand in line with a bunch of strangers in an enclosed place to vote. So those folks typically vote for Biden. Biden has a larger percentage of people that believe in reality. Donald Trump has the nut jobs that he believe whatever he says. And as the most lying president in U.S. history, there's a lot of folks that actually are doing that. They will go to the polls and won't trust the mail because obviously the president had tried to undermine our votes by trying to hurt the U.S. Postal Service to try to stop votes from being received and collected. So anyways, that being said, that's their strategy. It's a very ugly, dangerous thing, but it gets worse than that. Let's move in into now how they're attacking the voters themselves, the people who are counting the vote, and basically any state that has Joe Biden ahead. And they really want to keep the counting goes in any state where Donald Trump is behind. The hypocrisy is staggering.
Schools have plumbed the depths of their shamelessness. Think again, because here's Kellyanne Conway and Sarah Huckabee Sanders on Fox News this morning claiming that when it comes to states Trump is losing, we should take our time, after months of insisting ballots should not be counted after Election Day.
Arizona and Pennsylvania, I think, are key for the president, and those are both places where he still has a path to victory. And so I think it is incredibly too early for them to make that type of announcement because we've still got votes left to be counted, and I think that has to be completed before we can determine who the winner is.
We spent 3 years. They spent 3 years investigating the president, impeaching the president. We can't wait 3 hours, 3 days, 3 weeks to get a result in our great sturdy democracy as to whom the next president will be. I mean, what is the rush?
Yeah, what's the rush? Let's take our time. 3 hours, 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 years.
So there you have it. Now they're saying, and you can see in certain states, we've got to just take your time, be patient. Donald Trump could pull these out. We want every vote to count. Those are in the states that Biden is ahead, but have not been declared. They want to make sure every vote is tallied there because they believe, and rightfully so, that does give their candidate a better opportunity to win. While at the same time, they're telling the states where Biden is ahead or creeping up on Trump to take the lead, they want those votes to stop. So let me show you the next section in here.
On their favorite TV channel, Fox News, as White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany discovered on Wednesday.
We have election days in this country for a reason, because votes are counted on election day. So we are fighting for the American people to know sooner rather than later. We want the votes to be counted.
But Kayleigh, we always have had provisional ballots and military ballots, things that get counted later. The votes have to be in by November 3rd. That was what their state legislature and their court system agreed to, that it had to be postmarked by November 3rd and then counted. So the voting is happening on election day.
And the legislature, you're right, determines the time, the manner, and the place in which an election happens. We believe every vote on election day should be counted, but it's those that arrive after the election day that we are fighting in court.
Even if they already voted on November 3rd, which is the postmark.
We're fighting for those that are after November 3rd. We want election day ballots to be counted.
And I got more lies than Kayleigh McEnany.
So did you catch that? She's saying one thing while implying and sending the whistles out to their cult members of something completely else. So she did say there that we want the votes counted on election day. She's setting up the false narrative that election day is one day. Election day is not a day to have all the votes tabulated. Election day is the day that's kind of the cutoff where we say, hey, we're done taking votes now. We're going to have to tabulate, make sure we count every American's voice, every American's ballot and vote, and then come to the conclusion on who has the most votes per state, and then, of course, you've got the popular vote. So she's inferring that every ballot that's received after Election Day is invalid, and that is not the case. The postmark can be on Election Day. That means it's going to be in the mail. It's going to take a couple days to get to the registrar. They will be receiving valid American votes after Election Day. But as long as they were postmarked before them, they're going to be counted. So these folks are trying to undermine the Constitution, undermine, of course, the whole democratic process of selecting an American president, just because they want their dear leader to be the president for the next 4 years. They know they'll do lie, beg, cheat, and steal to do it. Kayleigh McEnany has no integrity. Neither does Kellyanne Conway, nor Sarah Huckabee Sanders. All of them are just, no shame, no integrity. I did mention, too, that this is dangerous, not only in the fact that it's going to make dividing America a lot more. You know Donald Trump isn't going to concede that he's lost. He even said the only way that the voting in election was not fraudulent, would not be fraudulent, is if he won. That by default, if Biden wins, automatically it's fraudulent. So this guy, he's very dangerous. And remember, his cult people, they worship him. He's like the Antichrist. And these are the people that want to put him in power and keep him in power. It's nuts. This is the same man inspiring the same group of people that almost ran a bus off of the road because it had the Biden and Harris logo on the side of it. They literally rammed, that's assault with a deadly weapon, rammed an escort vehicle on that was escorting the bus. You know, for people that are law and order, these thugs, gang members, they need to get some law and order. They do. So anyways, let me show you a little bit on how his rhetoric is affecting our folks that are doing their civic duty of voting, and of course, the volunteers who tally up those votes.
People voted. He voted. We have proof that dead people are voting. I just went to a polling place yesterday and they let me in even after I blew a 0 on the thermometer. And we need voter ID laws. Nobody even checked my toe tag. How are you going to look at how many dead people voted? Are you going to go to the morgue and see if any of the corpses are wearing stickers? Boss, I found another one. All this is so dumb and transparent.
It's coming up next year. You'll see in a minute.
Believe this stuff, which is why one of them crashed a press conference in Nevada yesterday screaming that Joe Biden was stealing the election.
As I mentioned, we are not prepared to give that number now.
The Biden crime family stealing the election. The media is covering it up. The Biden crime family stealing this election. The media is covering it up. The Biden crime family stealing this election. The media is covering it up. We want our freedom for the world. Give us our freedom, Joe Biden. Your Biden's covering up this election. He's stealing it.
Where were we? What was the last question?
I mean,
I love that part. Where were we? What was the last question? That was hilarious. Now, what's not funny is this guy interrupted a press conference. No, that's, I guess they have a right to do that. They can protest. That's not an issue. Although these are the same people that shit themselves when a black man kneeled and during the national anthem. Isn't it ironic? That's okay here, but if you kneel because black people are being murdered, unarmed, people of color being murdered by the government without due process, unarmed, you can't protest for that by kneeling. But with false news, fake news, this entire propaganda, cult, conspiracy theory nutjob thing that the president's putting out into his group of insane supporters and sycophants, that's just one person. It gets worse than that. And we'll show you here. Seth Meyers has another section that draws some attention to it. So bear with me.
Almost all of them. So Trump, Kellyanne Conway, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Kayleigh McEnany, Rudy Giuliani, none of them keep their stories straight, which is why even the crowds of Trump supporters harassing and intimidating poll workers can't keep their stories straight either. In Michigan, where Trump started out ahead, they called on poll workers to stop counting votes, but in Arizona, where Trump is behind, they called for the opposite.
Stop them count! Stop them count! Stop them count! Stop them count!
Truly, we're a nation divided. I don't think Trump...
That's nuts. It's nuts. And you saw them banging on the windows. The people on the other side of that glass are American citizens doing their civic duty and volunteering to help work with this electoral process. And these folks, I'd be a little worried. There are some states that are talking about maybe having to shut down and do other things because Donald Trump and his sycophant conspiracy theory, domestic right-wing terrorist group organization is going to be putting people's lives in danger just for trying to help out with doing the count. They literally believe that any vote against Trump, or for Biden, I should say, is fraudulent by nature. It's dangerous. It's unprecedented. And I'm beside myself. I sure hope we get this son of a bitch out of office as quick as possible and as painlessly as possible. I know good people that are in that cult. They only watch Fox News. They think everything else are lies. It's insane. Watch Fox News for a little bit, but actually do yourself better. Go on YouTube, or look up Outfoxed. That's a documentary about how Fox News has poisoned the entire news media organization. I mean, just the culture of journalism has been poisoned by Fox News. And if you enjoy that, spend a couple dollars and buy on YouTube The Brainwashing of My Dad. I know people that are seriously like the subject of that documentary. People that were kind-hearted and good, and you can just watch them turn into these angry sycophants that they don't even have a compass where they're driving towards a goal. They only want one thing: own the libs. They think that people on the left are the enemy of the United States. They'll side with Putin over people on the left. They'll murder people on the left. It's dangerous. Fox News needs to... I wish they would just go away. But, you know, check those out. Thanks for watching this video. I plan on putting maybe some more in there. And of course, thanks to Seth Meyers for the great collection of videos that I got a chance to show everybody. You guys have a great time, and be safe out there. Participate in the government. Even if you hate it, you got to participate to make it better. Thanks, take care, and good night.